They told me to grab snacks at the mini-mart, and by the time I came out, my daughter-in-law and my entire family drove away and left me behind. Betrayal doesn't always scream. Sometimes it just leaves you stranded at a gas station with a broken heart. Stay with me as I tell you my story. My name is Dolores Whitley. I'm 70 years old, and 3 days ago, my daughter-in-law smiled in my face, told me to grab some snacks for the kids, and then drove off with my son and grandchildren, leaving me stranded with nothing but my purse, my phone, and a bag of granola bars I never got to hand out. It happened just after lunch. We were about halfway through a road trip to Asheville for the Labor Day weekend. Jordan, my only son, was driving. His wife, Tasha, was in the passenger seat. My 2 grandchildren, Aubrey and Miles, were in the back, watching cartoons on their tablets. I had made cookies the night before, packed a little picnic basket, and even bought sketchbooks for the kids. I thought we were going to spend the weekend bonding as a family. When we pulled into the gas station, Tasha turned to me with that smile she wears when she's hiding something. "Mama D," she said sweetly, "can you run inside and grab some snacks for the kids? Maybe some juice boxes and trail mix?" "Of course, baby," I said, unbuckling my seatbelt. "I'll be right back." "We'll be at the pump," she added. "Take your time." That was the last lie she told me to my face. I went into the little mini-mart and took my time picking snacks the kids would like. I even grabbed an energy bar for Jordan and a sparkling water for Tasha. I paid in cash, smiled at the young man behind the counter, and walked out still thinking this trip was our fresh start. But the car was gone. At first I thought maybe they'd just pulled forward to wait. Or maybe gone to park near the side of the building. I looked left, looked right, nothing. Then I saw it. Far down the road, just before the bend in the highway, the SUV. I recognized the back of it immediately. That shiny black finish, the dent near the right taillight. I could see the silhouettes of my grandbabies in the back seat. And then, I saw her, Tasha. She turned around in the front passenger seat, looked directly at me through the window, and laughed. She was laughing. Jordan didn't look back. He kept driving. They left me. Just like that. They left me with no suitcase, no medication, no idea where I even was. I stood there outside that gas station, holding a small plastic bag filled with juice boxes, crackers, and hope. Hope that I had been wrong. But I wasn't. I wasn't even angry at first. I was in shock. I sat down on a little bench near the building, too stunned to cry, too confused to move. The sun was hot on my face and my knees ached, but my mind was frozen in that moment. My daughter-in-law laughing while I stood there like a fool. I pulled out my phone. 1 bar of service. No messages, no missed calls, no apology. I opened Facebook, needing a distraction, and the first thing I saw was a post going viral. Another elderly woman had been abandoned by her family at a rest stop during a road trip. Strangers were outraged in the comments. "This is evil. Who does this to their own mama?" I stared at the screen for a long time. They didn't even know how close to home that story was. Because I was sitting in the same kind of gas station, reading that story, and living my own version of it. Except in mine, I wasn't just forgotten. I was targeted. See, what my son and daughter-in-law didn't realize when they drove away was that I wasn't just some fragile old woman they could toss aside. I was still the legal owner of the house they lived in. That fancy house with the big kitchen, the home office, and the backyard my retirement money helped renovate. The house they were trying so hard to impress people with. The one Jordan begged me to save when they said they were going to lose everything. It all started 6 months ago. Jordan called me in the middle of the day, sounding like a child again. His voice broke. "Mama, we're in trouble." He said Tasha had lost her job, that bills were piling up, that they were 3 months behind on the mortgage. He told me the kids were scared that they might lose the house. I was living a quiet life in Raleigh at the time, in a small senior community with potlucks and book clubs and a little garden I tended every morning. I'd been saving my husband Walter's life insurance. I'd promised myself I wouldn't touch it unless it was truly an emergency. But when Jordan said, "Mama, you're the only one who can help us," I didn't hesitate. "How much do you need?" He said $80,000, and I gave it to him. But I wasn't stupid. I had my lawyer draft a document, a clear loan agreement and a lien on their house until the money was paid back. Jordan seemed nervous when I brought it up but signed without protest. "We'll pay you back," he said. "Soon as Tasha gets work again." I believed him. For a while, everything seemed fine. Jordan called me every Sunday. Tasha would pop on the phone sometimes. The kids sent voice notes and selfies. I smiled every time I heard their voices. But slowly, things started to change. Calls got shorter, then they stopped coming. When I reached out, Jordan always had an excuse. Busy. Meetings. School drop-offs. "You know how it is, Mama." No, I didn't know how it was anymore. I felt like I was being shut out of a life I helped preserve. When I asked to visit for Aubrey's birthday, they told me the house would be crowded. When I offered to fly in for Miles's choir show, they said they'd let me know. They never did. And then one day, little Aubrey picked up the phone. "Grandma D," she squealed. "I miss you. Daddy said you're too busy for us now, but I painted our room purple." "Wanna see?" My heart clenched. Too busy? Is that what they were telling the children? Before I could say anything else, I heard Jordan in the background. "Aubrey, give me the phone." He came on, breathless. "Hey, Mama, sorry." She grabbed my phone while I was... "Jordan," I cut in. "Why does Aubrey think I'm too busy for her?" There was a long pause. "Kids, you know how they mix stuff up. Listen, I've got a meeting. I'll call you back." He didn't. And now here I am. 3 days later, sitting on a bench outside a gas station, with one bar of service and a bag of snacks no one will eat. But this time, I'm not going to wait by the phone. This time, I'm not going to be the victim. Because the same woman they just tried to throw away, she's still legally tied to everything they own. And I'm not done yet. I didn't cry. That's what surprised even me. Not one tear. Not even when I sat on that plastic bench for over 30 minutes, watching the sun dip lower behind the gas station roof and realizing no one was coming back for me. I didn't cry. I got up. I opened my purse. And I called Angela. Angela Fields has been my lawyer for 20 years. She helped me settle Walter's estate after he passed, helped me purchase my retirement condo in Raleigh, and she's the one who drafted the lien agreement when I gave Jordan and Tasha the loan. She knew I didn't play about my boundaries or my money. "Angela," I said when she picked up, "it's time." There was a beat of silence on the other end. She could hear the storm brewing in my voice. "Tell me what happened." "They left me," I said flatly, "at a gas station, on purpose." Angela was quiet for a moment, then her voice hardened. "Do you want to enforce the lien?" "Yes, immediately. I want that house under my control before they realize what's happening." "Understood. I'll begin the process today. And Dolores? Yes? I'm proud of you." That was the first time all day someone made me feel seen. After we hung up, I looked around the gas station. I was still the only person sitting outside. People came and went, cars pulled in and out, kids argued over candy inside the mini-mart. The world kept turning, but I sat there, steady as a stone, running through every memory of the last year. Every ignored phone call, every excuse, every time Tasha looked at me like I was a burden. And now, this. I stood up, brushed off my dress, and called a taxi. The driver arrived about 20 minutes later, a young man named Ray who had music playing low and air fresheners swinging from the mirror. He glanced at me through the rearview mirror as I got in. "Everything all right, ma'am?" he asked gently. "No," I said, "but it will be." I asked him to take me to a small motel I remembered seeing on the way up. Nothing fancy, but quiet and clean. He made small talk during the drive, but I only gave short answers. My mind was elsewhere. When we pulled in, I thanked him, handed him a tip, and walked up to the front desk. The lady behind the counter gave me that curious look people give older women traveling alone, but I held her gaze steady. "I need a room for a few days," I said. She gave me a key, and I checked in without another word. The room was modest. Faded curtains, a firm bed, and the smell of lemon disinfectant. I didn't unpack, I just sat on the edge of the bed and stared at the wall. Then I picked up my phone and did something I hadn't planned to do. I texted Tasha, text message, me to Tasha. "You laughed today, I won't forget that, and neither will the courts. I hope you enjoy your time in my house because you won't be in it for much longer." I blocked her number immediately after. Then I opened the photo album on my phone. Miles with paint on his nose from art class. Aubrey blowing bubbles in the backyard. Jordan holding both of them in his arms during their last birthday party. My throat tightened, not because of them, because I wouldn't get to see them for a while. Not until the storm passed. I pressed the phone to my chest and closed my eyes. By morning, I had 6 missed calls from Jordan and 2 voicemails that I didn't bother listening to. Instead, I called Angela again. I want to proceed with the emergency eviction order, I said, and a restraining order against both of them. Are you sure? She asked. Tasha laughed while they drove away. My son didn't stop her. They knew what they were doing. Angela didn't try to talk me out of it. Okay, I'll file everything now. Give me 72 hours. She worked faster than I expected. By Wednesday afternoon, a red and white legal notice was taped to the front of Jordan and Tasha's door. A sheriff's deputy served them in person, and I was CC'd on every document. That same evening, Jordan finally got through. I saw his name flash on the screen, Jordan's son, and for a moment I stared at it, wondering who I would hear on the other end. My baby boy, or the man who let his wife leave his mother behind? I picked up. Hello. His voice came fast and breathless. Mama, what the hell is this? Eviction? Lien enforcement? Are you serious? You tell me, I said calmly. Was it a joke when you left me at that gas station? I didn't. Tasha said you were taking too long, and the car was overheating, and... Stop lying, Jordan. I saw her laughing. She looked right at me. He didn't say anything. I gave you my money, I continued. I gave you my trust. I didn't ask for interest. I didn't demand repayment. All I wanted was to be part of my grandkids' lives. He swallowed. I could hear it. She said you didn't want to come anymore. That's what you chose to believe? She told me you were tired of visiting, and you never thought to ask me? To hear it from me? I don't know. Exactly, I said. You don't know, because you stopped listening to your own mother. I'm sorry, Mama, he whispered. I didn't know she was going to do that. I thought she was just... You thought nothing. And now you're losing the house. He broke down then, I heard it, breathing heavy, sniffles, the kind of crying you try to hide. I don't want to fight with you, he said. Can we fix this? I'm not the one who broke it. Silence. I'm staying at the Regal Motel off Highway 90, I said finally. If you want to bring my grandkids to visit, I'll be here until Sunday, but do not bring your wife, and do not show up empty-handed. I hung up. Then I turned off my phone and let the quiet settle over me. I didn't know what was going to happen next, but I knew this much. I wasn't just reclaiming my house. I was reclaiming myself. On Saturday afternoon, I heard a soft knock on my motel door. I didn't jump up. I didn't rush. I took my time walking across the worn carpet, peeking through the peephole. I knew who it was before I looked. Something in my spirit had been telling me all morning to get ready, not just in clothes, but in heart. When I opened the door, there they were. Jordan stood with Miles and Aubrey, one child on each side. He looked older than he had 3 months ago, worn down like the weight of a bad decision had finally settled on his shoulders. His eyes were puffy. He hadn't shaved. His shirt was wrinkled. But what nearly broke me was seeing my grandbabies. Mama D! Aubrey screamed, running toward me before Jordan could say anything. She wrapped her little arms around my waist, and I melted. Miles followed right behind her, his eyes wide. You okay, Grandma? He asked softly. I nodded, kneeling to hug them both. I'm okay now. Jordan cleared his throat behind us. Can we come in? I looked up at him, long and hard. Then I stepped aside. Just you and the kids. He didn't argue. I had picked up a few coloring books and snacks earlier that morning, hoping they'd show up. I handed them to the kids and pointed them to the table. There's juice and cookies, I said. As they settled in, Jordan sat on the edge of the bed. Thank you for seeing us, he said. I didn't answer. He rubbed his hands together, glanced at the kids, then lowered his voice. Tasha's been acting out of pocket. Since the notice came, she's been on edge, screaming, throwing things, telling me I ruined her life. I raised one brow. She ruined her own life the day she left me by the side of the road. She said it was a mistake. Leaving me was a decision. Laughing as she did it, that was cruelty. He dropped his gaze. She thinks you're bluffing, he whispered. Oh, I'm not. Your lawyer should have told you that by now. He nodded slowly. She left the house last night. I blinked. Left, took the kids' tablets, a bag of clothes, and went to her cousin's place. Said if I was going to pick my mama over my wife, then I could live with that. I didn't say anything, because the truth is, Jordan had been picking her over me for a long time. But something about that motel room, those grandbabies, the weight in his eyes. It told me this wasn't just about real estate. He was waking up. "I don't want to lose everything, Mama," he said. "I know I messed up. I should have stood up for you. I should have never let her treat you like that." I stared at him. I didn't soften. "You think this is about a house? Jordan, I raised you better than this. I protected you through every hard season, and you let someone throw me away like a piece of trash because you didn't want to rock your marriage?" I thought. You didn't think. That was the problem. He looked like he wanted to cry again, but he held it in. Then he said the thing I didn't expect. "I'm filing for divorce." That stopped me. He looked up, and for the first time in a long time, I saw the boy I raised. The one who used to cry when I missed a school play. The one who built lemonade stands to help buy my birthday gifts. "She's not good for the kids, Mama. They've seen too much yelling, too much coldness, and after what she did to you, I realized they could be next." I nodded slowly. The kids were giggling behind us, coloring and eating their cookies like the world hadn't tilted sideways. I glanced over at them and took a deep breath. "Good," I said softly. "Now let's figure out what comes next." We spent the next 2 hours talking about custody, about his job, about the fact that they were living beyond their means for years. He confessed how embarrassed he felt that it took something like this to finally open his eyes. I didn't rub it in. I didn't need to. Life was already doing that for him. As the sun began to set, I walked them out to the car. Aubrey hugged me tight. "Come home with us, Grandma," she begged. "Please?" Jordan flinched, and I shook my head gently. "I'll see you soon, baby. Grandma's just taking a little vacation." Miles grabbed my hand. "I love you." My voice cracked. "I love you more." Jordan stood by the driver's side, hands in his pockets. "We'll figure this out, Mama." "I hope so." He leaned in close before opening the door. "She's threatening to fight me for the house." I smiled. "Let her try. She's not on the deed. You are. But guess who's ahead of you?" "You," I nodded. "Exactly." He got in the car and drove off slowly. I stood there until the taillights faded into the distance. Back inside my motel room, I sat on the edge of the bed, exhaled deeply, and pulled out my phone. There was one missed call, from an unknown number, and a voicemail. I played it. It was Tasha. "You think you won, old woman? This ain't over. You messed with the wrong one. I'll make sure you regret it." I didn't flinch. I simply deleted the message. Then I emailed Angela and said one thing. "Let's move forward with everything." Because I wasn't just cleaning up their mess. I was clearing the path for something better. 3 weeks after that voicemail, I stood in court in a navy blue pantsuit I hadn't worn in years. My lawyer, Angela, stood beside me, cool and composed as ever. Jordan was 2 rows behind us in a borrowed suit, eyes low, hands clasped like he was back in church for the first time in decades. Tasha didn't show up. Her lawyer did, though, a smug-looking man who wore flashy cufflinks and kept referring to me as the elderly lender. Angela called it out immediately. "She's not just a lender," she said coolly. "She's the lien holder and the legal homeowner." The judge, a no-nonsense black woman with silver-streaked braids, nodded. "I've read the documents. Let's proceed." The entire hearing lasted less than 20 minutes. Angela presented everything: the loan transfer, the signed agreement, the deed with my name on it, and the notarized notice of default. Then she laid out the voicemail from Tasha, the text she sent Jordan threatening to make that old woman pay, and a screenshot of her mocking me online in a private Facebook group. The judge didn't blink. "Full enforcement granted," she ruled. "Eviction is immediate. Any attempt by the spouse or their representatives to contest this ruling will be dismissed as frivolous unless new evidence arises." She looked right at me. "You want to file for damages?" Angela started to say yes, but I lifted my hand. "No," I said quietly. "I just want my house back." The judge gave me a long look. Then she nodded once with respect. "Then go take it." And just like that, the gavel fell. I walked out of that courtroom not just as a woman wronged, but as a woman restored. Later that evening, Jordan met me at the house. He was standing at the curb when I pulled up in a rental car. He looked nervous, shifting from foot to foot, holding something in his hand. When I got out, he walked up slowly. "Here," he said, placing the keys in my palm. "Every copy. I already moved out this morning. Just took the essentials. The kids are with me for now." I nodded and looked at the house. My house. The porch light flickered. The lawn needed trimming. but it was still mine. I stepped inside alone. The air was stale. The furniture Tasha picked out was stiff and cold. Her scent still lingered faintly in the hallway. But I walked from room to room like I was greeting old friends. And then I did something I hadn't done in years. I sat in my own recliner by the living room window. It creaked under my weight and sighed like it had missed me. That night, I slept like a baby. The next morning, Jordan brought the kids over. Aubrey ran to her old bedroom, squealing with joy. Miles followed her with a backpack full of toys. Jordan stepped inside slowly, holding 2 grocery bags. I brought food, he said, and cleaning supplies. I smiled. We're gonna need both. We spent the whole morning dusting, vacuuming, opening windows. At one point, Jordan pulled a pan from the cabinet and just held it. You know, he said, I really thought we were building something with Tasha. You were, I said. Just not on solid ground. He nodded. And then as the kids played outside and the smell of bleach filled the kitchen, I told him my plan. I'm giving the house to Miles and Aubrey. He looked up, startled. What? I already spoke to Angela. We'll put it in a trust. They can't touch it until they're 25. But it'll be theirs. Not yours, not Tasha's, theirs. Mama, are you sure? I am. He sank into a chair. I know I don't deserve your forgiveness, he said, but I want to earn it. I looked at him long and hard. You don't need to earn it, I said softly. You need to remember it. He nodded, swallowing emotion. Thank you. But I added, I'm not staying here. He blinked. You're not? I've been thinking. I want to live somewhere quiet, somewhere peaceful. I've had enough drama to last a lifetime. Where will you go? There's a lakeside cottage about an hour north of here. One of Walter's old friends owns it. He's selling it next month. I already told Angela to draw up the offer. He stared at me. You're moving? Yes. He looked like he didn't know whether to cry or smile. But this is your home. It was, I said. But sometimes to heal, you have to start fresh. He didn't argue. He just stood up and hugged me tighter than he had in years. Will you visit? He asked. Every weekend, I promised. That night, I sat on the porch swing with the kids, watching fireflies dance in the yard. They didn't ask about their mother, and I didn't bring her up, because in that moment, all that mattered was the sound of laughter, the smell of summer air, and the feeling of peace. But I knew Tasha wasn't done. And I was right, because the next morning, I found a letter shoved into my mailbox. The envelope had no return address. Just my name written in sharp, angry strokes across the front. Dolores. I stood there on the front porch in my robe, the morning sun warming my face, the birds chirping like they hadn't a care in the world. And I knew. Before I even opened it, I knew who sent it. Tasha. I took it inside, set it on the kitchen table, and made myself a cup of coffee. I wasn't in a rush. Whatever drama she was cooking, I wasn't going to let it ruin my peace. Finally, I sat down and opened it. Dear Dolores, you think you won, but I promise you, this isn't over. You humiliated me. You turned my husband against me, made me look like a monster, and took the house I built from scratch. Enjoy it while you can, old woman, because karma always comes back. Tasha, I read it twice. Then I folded it neatly, dropped it in the trash, and poured myself another cup of coffee. Let her scream into the void. I had already won. That week, I finalized the paperwork for the house trust. Angela was thorough, as always. Once they turn 25, it'll be theirs free and clear, she explained. No one, not even their father, can override the trust. I smiled. Good, let that be my legacy. The next weekend, I packed up my few belongings and made the drive north to the lake house. It wasn't fancy, a small one-story cottage with weathered shutters and a porch that overlooked the water, but it felt like freedom. I unpacked slowly, hung pictures of Walter, put up the kids, drawings on the fridge, set my Bible on the nightstand, and then I sat on the dock that evening and watched the sun dip low, painting the lake in gold. The air was quiet, peaceful, no shouting, no manipulation, no masks, just me, just God, just healing. The next month, Jordan called to tell me Tasha had filed for divorce. She tried to take everything, the car, the savings, even full custody, but the courts saw through her. Especially once the voicemail and screenshots came into evidence. She's threatening to go to the press, he said. Let her, I replied. You can't defame someone who already told the truth. Jordan laughed. For the first time in a long time, he sounded like himself. Mama, he said gently, I don't say it enough, but thank you. For what? For everything. I hung up, heart full. In the weeks that followed, I started a small garden by the cottage. Aubrey helped me plant tomatoes and tulips during her weekend visits. Miles and I started reading mystery books together. We had pancake Saturdays and storytelling Sundays. Tasha never came around again. She tried once. Showed up at the house banging on the door like a banshee. But I didn't answer. I called the sheriff instead. He escorted her off the property while I sat inside, sipping iced tea with the windows closed. That was the last time I ever saw her. Months passed. I painted the living room, adopted a rescue cat named Clementine, and joined a women's Bible study group in town. Life slowed down in all the right ways. But one moment sticks with me. One crisp autumn afternoon, Miles asked me why I gave him and Aubrey the house. I looked him in the eye and said, because no one should ever have to beg to be respected in their own family. That house is more than a roof. It's proof that love protects, even when people don't. He nodded slowly, thoughtful beyond his years. Then he said, I'll take care of it, Grandma, I promise. And I believed him, because this wasn't just about revenge, it was about legacy. It was about showing that age doesn't mean weakness, and silence doesn't mean surrender. It was about teaching my grandchildren that you never let anyone treat you like you're disposable, not even your own blood. So if you're still wondering how the story ends, here it is. I was left at a gas station. But I came back with power, and that power, I passed it down. One truth. One trust fund. One tomato garden at a time. Hi besties, if this story moved you, make sure to hit that subscribe button so you never miss another one. Your support helps us keep sharing powerful stories that matter.